California kindergarten teacher is facing outrage after discussing gender identity with her students.
Children about gender identity, it's a big topic.
Go on.
Because you and I had this debate about the 100 genders.
Yeah.
And I made the point, if literally you can now identify in 100 different ways your gender, including two-spirit person and all this other stuff, then I'm entitled to identify as a two-spirit penguin.
Conservative America has been going after public education.
Are we going to allow the children of this country, literally, this is where this will go, to identify as anything they like? And what does that do to our society?
These are questions that didn't exist like 18 months ago. Homo sapiens have been around 300,000 years, and for the most part, it was kind of obvious who the boys and girls were. But we've decided in a very short period of time that none of that is real, and we're changing it, because why?
Yeah, I'm Mason Higgins, I'm 18, and my pronouns are he, they.
I'm Jay, I'm 15, and my pronouns are they, them.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm 15 years old, 15 and 8 months old to be precise, and my pronouns are he and him.
My name is Shay, I'm 16, and my pronouns are he, him.
I'm AJ, I'm 16, and I use she, her, they, them.
So how would you define gender expression to an older generation?
So, one way that I did it, like I'm gonna go with like an example of me explaining it to my mom. So something I did was try to disconnect it from what she knew me as. Like, hey, I know you see me in this certain way, and I know that there's a certain like stereotype I'm supposed to fall in because of this, but I feel like I'm kind of out of this and I fit more into a stereotype of a different, like of guys and stuff. I fit more into that stereotype, and so I like to present myself in that way more. It's just kind of disconnecting the two is really how I would do it.
Gender expression is just how you like want the world to see you, and it doesn't necessarily, like for me, it doesn't necessarily entirely correlate with gender identity. Like I typically dress more feminine, but that doesn't make me a girl, and I know that's a problem for a lot of people to understand. So,
I think I define gender expression as representing your how you look and how you act, behave. For instance, if you're a tomboy, you might like act like a boy at sometimes, but like all in all, it's pretty much okay. It's not abnormal in nature to be. You can be whoever you are. You can come as you are.
I'd say that gender expression is the way that somebody, like the image that somebody puts on for themselves and the way that they show themselves to other people. I guess I'd say that.
It's like how you want to look, how you want to be, your ideal self, and like the way you look representing like the way you feel. For me at least, and like making an impact and making sure people know that. People know how you feel or like who you are. Gender expression is kind of the same thing, making sure that people know who you are. If you want to really just solidify that in people's minds, is just dressing how you want to.
I think this topic is important.
Well, I know that I never really knew about like gender expression growing up. Like I didn't learn about it till like middle school and stuff. And I feel like if I had known about it earlier, I would have been able to like figure myself out. Because almost as soon as I learned about it, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And so it was sudden for people, and they're like, oh, you're just faking it because you just learned about it. You want to be cool and like hipster and everything. And so I think it's really important to talk about it and to know about it and to like just know that it exists and is affecting people, you know?
You know, the world is progressing, we're moving on. Gender roles and gender stereotypes are being broken and changed, and people not understanding that is really harmful to especially kids who don't really know any better and they're just trying to find themselves. And if they're being told that what they are is wrong, it's just really harmful.
It builds I think it builds diversity among humans, especially people who like don't want to bash their opinions on how they look. That's not how the world should work.
I think that a lot of young kids struggle with confining to social conformities, and I think that it's important for them to break out of those and to learn that it's okay to do that.
It's important because it's like finding out who you are, and it's kind of like a coming of age thing. But I think it's very important to people's mental health, especially our generation.
How do you express yourself in a school environment?
So personally, I kind of wear whatever I want. I've been out for 5 years, and I spent a long time not being comfortable and expressing myself in a way that felt right to me. And I feel expressing yourself for yourself is more important than trying to like fit in or like be scared of what people might say. And like if someone does say something to you, that means you're doing it right. That means you're making the statement, you're doing what you want to be doing.
Mainly the way I dress. I don't typically try to dress a certain way. I find clothes I like and I wear them. And I wear what feels affirming to myself, not necessarily what will affirm my identity to other people. And if they don't get it, then it's something that is their problem. But wearing what I like and feeling comfortable with myself and how I am makes me feel better in everywhere.
Well, most of the time I'm kind of shy, but like I have autism, so I'm kind of shy in nature. But but I do have friends that I usually talk to. The best way to communicate is like social media or Discord, I believe, because that's like one of my best ways to communicate. Like, best way to talk to me is like online, not in person, because social anxiety is a real thing in autistic people.
I think I express myself through clothing and then the way I act most of the time.
Through dress, makeup, drawing things on myself, stuff like that. But also just if you're in a good outfit, you're more likely to be more positive and be more flowy and things.
So what would you want your fellow peers to know about this topic, like fellow students or friends, family members?
It's important to be respectful and to know that it doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable about it. It's not your thing to deal with. If they're really your friend, you will accept them and you will use what they need to be using, like depending on pronouns and stuff. You'll use their proper pronouns, like if you really want to be a good friend or family member, because it's about them and not you.
The huge thing for me is expression in general does not equal gender identity. Because like I said, people look at me, first thought, girl, no. And that's not always the case, and it needs to stop being assumed.
I want them to know, like, we love to see it. I love to see everyone just like dressing and expressing themselves. It makes the school a lot more lively when everyone's wearing something different, and every day you've seen someone in an outfit that you've never seen, or seeing someone like experiment with something. It's always fun.
You talk to younger generations?
I do, yeah, absolutely I do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The earlier they were taught, the more accepting they'll be as adults.
I think that dressing up and expressing yourself is very good for your mental health and very good for your just sense of self and like self-worth.
Younger teenagers, like I know that I've heard many times that the prime age for questioning queer youth is 12. That was when I realized a lot of things, it's when a lot of my friends realized things, so teaching it earlier on will make the questioning and figuring out phase a lot less scary.
Just like development and everything. And being aware of it really helps get rid of any confusion that like a kid might be going through during like the early stages of puberty.
You'll edit this if I mess up, right?
Yeah. Okay.
My name is Ken Goring, and I'm a teacher here at Kihei Charter, and I am a him, a he, and a his.
Okay. So how do you define gender expression to an older generation?
I think as far as like to an older generation, I would mostly tell them that it's people are much more aware of the fluidity of gender, and that people, young people today are much more concerned with being honest and real about where they are on that spectrum, and that it's a little different from when we were kids, but not really so much. It's just sort of, I think, the awareness and the openness.
So why do you think this topic is important?
I guess the topic is important because it's what the youth is feeling, and the world is, belongs to the youth. The future is theirs, and so if it's something that is important to the kids and concerns them, then I think that makes it important just in itself. But then beyond that, I think also because life is too short to have people going around unhappy about themselves and the people around them and the way they're perceived, and so anything that's going to bring more joy is something that I back.
Okay, so how do you express yourself as a teacher, or how have you seen other students express themselves?
You mean like expressing myself through like clothes, or just as far as gender?
Yeah.
I think one of the big things for me as a teacher has been just as the way that teaching has allowed me to express a side of myself that a lot of like the guys I would have grown up with would consider feminine, and then allowed me not to be afraid of being perceived as feminine. Something like poetry. I love poetry more than anyone I've ever met, and growing up playing baseball, skateboarding, surfing, something like that was never encouraged. It was always like kind of a more of a dog-eat-dog kind of scenario where the tougher you are, the more status you had. And so, yet there's always this side of me that enjoyed things like fashion, like I said, poetry and art and just beauty. And so I figured, that's one of the ways I've expressed myself at school is through being a teacher of language arts. As far as clothing, when I was a student, there was sort of a movement where the punk rock scene was starting out, and we all started wearing eyeliner and putting lots of gel in our hair and being kind of having these poofy bouffant hairdos and whatnot, and wearing pastel colors. And so there was kind of like a window there where, as a youth, there was kind of like a time when having that crossover as far as gender and style was kind of in and cool. And so I had that experience for a while because the 80s were fairly feminine in their own way. But beyond that, I would say the students that I see now, kids seem to be more willing to mix up different things, and then you can't really tell like whether or not you would consider someone, male, female, gay or bisexual or anything like that. I feel like you see that way more than ever as far as the kids, and it's just a matter of like you just kind of detect it in the clothes. And yeah, I guess that's the main thing that I've been able to do as far as self-expression in school, and what I've seen in school.
Do you think this topic should be taught to the younger generation?
Well, yeah, actually, that's what I just talked about. I think it is something that could be taught to kids. Not so much to really make kids aware of it, as far as that that this is like a specific issue that's coming up in the world today, but just actually being focused on teaching kids to be inclusive and to be kind and to be accepting. And I think like that, in that aspect, I think it would work. I think beyond that, one of the things that you get is there's a lot of because especially in a school that takes all comers, a public school, the hassle of the pushback again can be something that has a negative end result.
I'm Kaylee Bass, and I'm from Piamico, and the point of this video is to spread awareness on gender/self-expression, primarily in a school environment. We'll trademark it. Perfect. That was all. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Nope. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Those are all the questions.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Yay.
That's all. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this topic?
I'm really glad you guys are doing this.